guys are not gonna fucking believe what's happening right now. This is possibly one of the most hilarious things I have ever experienced in the history of my life. I'm having so many feelings in this moment. Vindication is one of those feelings. Bot, how do you feel about what you were seeing on Twitter? Vindication is absolutely one of those feelings that So, I did a video last week where I talked about first I talked about my exposure of FAIR, the Foundation Against Intolerance and Racism, and I started exposing them in October of 2021. I did several pieces on it. I was the only one covering it, and nothing sadly happened at the time. And that was really sad for me. I worked really hard. I was talking to all these whistleblowers about FAIR, and I worked really hard to get them to talk, and a couple of them did, but not enough, sadly. But last week, my journalism about FAIR back in 2021 was confirmed several times over. Melissa Chang came out and confirmed it. Chris Rufo came out and confirmed it. And guess what? As of 5 p.m. on Friday, I haven't told people publicly this yet. As of 5 p.m. on Friday, the CEO of FAIR is out. And that was what I wanted back in 2021. And I happen to know that my work on that was used. I know that. And so I've always been someone to expose corruption in these anti-woke organizations, right? Because I really do believe, as an organizational psychologist, it's like if your organizations aren't doing what they should be, then you need to say something. Because if you don't say something, you just let the problem fester. This is also something that's just near and dear to me. I'm an organizational psychologist. I love this stuff. I love picking apart organizations and telling them, quite frankly, exactly what they need to do to get their act together, and they never listen, and, it is what it is, but it doesn't mean I'm wrong. And so I take it very seriously about calling up corrupt organizations in the, anti-woke space. And one of the organizations that I had an inkling had something going on was Gays Against Groomers, and I talked about this last week. I talked about the fact that I have been harassed by Mike Carlo for, years at this point. I'm so used to it. It's like the same thing over and over and over again. There's nothing new. It's like the worst thing you can find on me is my college boyfriend. I'm sorry. It wasn't even that bad of a cancellation. I felt more bad for him than anything. Eric, you're allowed to think that about Matt Walsh today only. All right. I'll allow because it's almost 3 a.m. Um, so I had an inkling that something was going on with Gays Against Groomers because I actually had an interaction with Jamiee, who is the CEO. And at first I thought that it was going to be okay. And it was okay for a little while until it wasn't. And then when I approached Jamiee again, she was such a bitch. Like, really epic bitch. Like, total, absolute narcissist. And I was like, well, all right, I'm just going to put that one in my back pocket. And I kind of sat on it for a little while. And every time Mike Carlo would smear me again, I would take a screenshot of the Gays Against Groomers code of conduct that they tweeted about in December. And I would say, here's Gays Against Groomers code of conduct. Here is Gays Against Groomers ambassadors behavior. I'm just putting the two things side by side. You can decide for yourself whether or not they line up. And whatever, life went on, and I did that a couple times, and then last week I told you that I had an inkling that Gays Against Groomers wasn't going so good. Now, the coincidence that I did not realize, and I feel a little bit silly that I missed this if I'm honest about it. The thing about Gays Against Groomers that I did not realize is even before I made that video last week, I'm pretty sure it was before. It was either before or it was at exactly the same time. There was a lot of public infighting going on with gays against groomers on Twitter because, as it turns out, and I'm working on an article about this, which we're going to talk about in a second. As it turns out, I was right. I was right big time because there is in progress an exodus of members from Gays Against Groomers. An exodus. And in the past 24 hours, I have talked to 6 of them. Oh, shit. No, 7. I've talked to 7 of them. I've talked to 7 whistleblowers from Gays Against Groomers today. Do you know how that doesn't happen? Do you know why I'm talking to 7 today? Because they're all talking to each other. They're all talking to each other. And there's a group of ex-Gays Against Groomers members that are going to be starting a rival organization because they do not believe that Gays Against Groomers is doing anything productive. They do not believe. They believe in the Gays Against Groomers mission statement. They feel really disappointed in the reality of Gays Against Groomers. But they do not believe that Gays Against Groomers is ever going to accomplish its stated goals with the way it's being run right now. Because it's apparently just chaos. It is chaos. Like, no one knows what the processes are. There aren't any bylaws. The organization isn't even officially structured. They're basically managing communication in a telegram. And really, the best thing about Gays Against Groomers is the branding. That's what these guys are telling me. And it's person after person after person after person after person with exactly the same story, exactly the same perspective. And I put out tweets about it because I knew that the tweets would attract more people. And they just kept messaging me, Carlin, you're right. You have it. I have heard that from multiple people. Yes, John. Gays Against Groomers is GAG. It is an unfortunate acronym. It is unfortunate at best. So I started working on this article, and there are so many fascinating components of this article. And we're just gonna can we just talk about them? Okay. Gays Against Groomers fired someone like a week ago based on a QAnon conspiracy theory. I'm not joking. I'm gonna say that again. This this is gonna be the best late night stream ever. Gays Against Groomers fired a trans woman like a week and a half ago because of a QAnon conspiracy theory. I I I I have seen a lot of firings in my day. I really have. I have helped organizations fire people. I don't always feel good about that, but it always does turn out for the best because when I help organizations fire people, I arrange it so that I coach the person after they leave to help them through the process and to get them back on their feet and headed in the right direction. I've done that multiple times. I always feel horrible when I'm advising organizations to fire people. Anyway, sometimes you just have to, though. It's the way it goes. But you try to set them up for success. Anyway, I have seen a lot of people fired in my day. I have never heard of someone getting fired for a QAnon conspiracy theory. And you know what? I would have even waited to reveal this little factoid until the article was written because it's so nutty that it's like, that's just like a nice surprise. However, I don't have to. You want to know why? Oh, they're still tweeting at me. This is the best thing that's ever happened. They're probably so pissed I'm having so much fun with this. Okay, hang on. Gotta shut my direct messages. You guys can't see that. I don't wanna give away no whistleblowers. Okay, hang on. Here is my Twitter, I believe. Yes. Okay. Doot, 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 doot. There we go. All right. Let me find the tweet. So I don't have to wait to tell you that Jamiee fired someone based on a QAnon conspiracy theory because she literally tweeted it. So I messaged Jamiee on Instagram as I was working on this today, A, because I kind of wanted to taunt her a little bit. You guys know how when I'm doing stuff with the schools and like taunting the schools online, I just like to taunt them a little. It makes it fun, it makes it interesting, and there's nothing really that they can do to stop me. I mean, I enjoy it. I don't know if everyone feels the same way. But so I messaged Jamiee on Instagram because I wanted to ask her for a comment and I wanted to taunt her a little bit. Bots watching my notifications. And so I asked her about it, and her answer, oh, let me read you Jamie's answer when I messaged her for comment on Instagram, and of course I have the receipts for this. Let's see. I said, "Hey Jamiee, I have multiple whistleblowers coming to me from your organization. I got one of your ambassadors threatening to dox people who left the org. I do. I hear you're about to have a mass exodus of people from your organization because you don't like trans people so much, and there are text messages proving such. There are. The last time this happened, I got a CEO removed from his job after my reporting on his corruption was used against him. You could have just done the right thing. Let me know if you have a comment when I publish." And so I gave her a chance to comment, and her response was to put a laugh emoji on the comment. And then I said, "Is a laugh emoji your official comment?" And I said, "I'm happy to publish it along with the screenshots from the half dozen whistleblowers I've spoken to today." And Jamiee replied, and this is the smartest effing thing that Jamiee has said all day. I kid you not. This is what it says. If anyone doubts me, I have the screenshots. Jamiee said, "Do what you got to do, Carlin. You're doing great work." And I said, "Thanks, Jamiee. I think exposing incompetent leadership in the space is important to improving." And she said, "You go, girl." That was her comment. That was her comment. And so I taunted her a little bit. And then I kind of forgot about it. And I just went back and worked on the article. And I got a bunch written. I just got, oh my God, there's so much to write. I've gotten so much written. This is going to be one of the longest articles I've written in a while. I've gotten so much written, and there's still so much to do. Anyway, so I was working on that. And then, as I do, I took a break and I checked into Twitter, and oh my word, or oh my Lanta, as John Morgan might say. Oh my word. I had a massive amount of notifications because Jamiee had just started yelling at me on Twitter. Because what you do when you're really definitely not afraid of someone writing an article about your organization, if you're just totally cool with someone speaking to whistleblowers from your organization and writing an article about it and you don't feel worried about that at all, do you start a fight with someone on Twitter? Do you start a fight with someone on Twitter when you're just completely even keeled about what they're doing? No, the answer is you do not. The answer is only triggered people start massive fights on Twitter at 1 a.m. unless they're Isabella Riley, and then she starts fights for fun. By the way, the Iggy Azalea spaces where Isabella, what Isabella Riley was, like, calling Izzy Azalea a whore. That was some funny shit. That was one of John Morgan, I saw you in that. I think you were in it too, bot. That was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. If you don't know what happened, basically, side note, Iggy Azalea, who has 8 million followers, got in a Twitter fight last night with Isabella Riley, who's like a trad con, like conservative, but like even though I hate everything she stands for, she's still hilarious and I can't help but like her. Because I like that she sticks to her guns and I like that she does it in hilarious fashion. Anyway, so Isabella had just started calling Iggy Azalea a whore over having an OnlyFans. And then Iggy Azalea started responding and just retweeting her and saying the craziest stuff I've ever heard in my life. And then Isabella, because she is who she is, started a Twitter space where I was taunting Iggy Azalea so bad. I wanted her in that space so bad. It was hilarious. It was the best. Anyway, so unless you're Isabella Riley, you do not start random fights on Twitter unless you are triggered about something. And it is pretty obvious to me that Jamiee is very, very triggered over the fact that I'm writing an article about her organization based on speaking to 7 different whistleblowers today. She thinks I only spoke to 4. Uh-uh. Uh-uh. Nope. 7. And there's more. And there's more. So Jamiee just started yelling at me. And of course, because I'm not going to back down from this bullshit, I started just like playing with her and I'm just having such a good time and getting screenshots of everything. I'm going to use her comments throughout the article. This is going to be long, but it's going to be hilarious. I promise you. This is going to be like the best thing I've ever written. And so one of the things I had in the article was that Jamiee fired this trans woman over a QAnon conspiracy theory. I'm going to tell you what happened. So this woman, and I can tell you about it because Jamiee effing tweeted about it. So this woman, in March of 2021, went to this massive mansion called the Biltmore. The Biltmore is the largest residential home in the country, I think, or it definitely was when it was built, but it's still pretty effing big. It's like a mansion. It was built by the Vanderbilts, okay? It is effing huge. It is now a national tourist destination. I think it's got like a national treasure status or something. Like this is a historical place. People are allowed to go and visit it, okay? They've got all sorts of stuff you can do. It is not an out of the realm possibility that someone is going to visit this attraction. Now, the problem is that effing swimming pool right there, when Nikki Starkiller, who is now the former head of the South Carolina chapter of Gays Against Groomers, when she went there 2 effing years ago, one of the rooms that she took a picture in was this pool room. This pool room is also part of a QAnon conspiracy theory that says that this is like Anderson Cooper's child satanic slaughter room based on paintings that John Podesta has. It is a wacky QAnon conspiracy theory, okay? This comes from QAnon. That is the origin of this conspiracy theory. Of this, I am sure. If there's another origin for this conspiracy theory, someone let me know. Because I'm pretty sure this is QAnon. So, this woman went to the Biltmore, took photos all around the Biltmore, by the way. She has them all on her Instagram. Took photos in some of the older rooms and like with mirrors and like outside. She took photos all over the damn place. One of the photos that she took was in the pool room at this fucking mansion. And because she took a picture in this pool room at the mansion 2 years ago, when she got hired to be or I don't even know if it's a Hey guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. I don't know what the hell just happened, but my internet just went crazy. But I'm back. I made it. Am I back yet? I apologize for that. I got to get my picture back up again. I hope I'm back. I don't see me being back yet. Maybe it's on a massive delay. I'm back. I am back. Oh, it doesn't look like it's playing on my end. Hang on. Let me just refresh real quick. Excellent. Excellent. Sorry about that. It looked frozen in my studio. Okay. Where were we? Okay. So this woman for Gays Against Groomers took a photo in that John Podesta pool murder room. Okay? And because she took that photo and posted it on the internet 2 years ago, when she was brought on as Gays Against Groomers South Carolina chapter lead, they found after they brought her on, and again, I'm not clear if it's a volunteer or paid position. I'm pretty sure it's a volunteer position. So it's not even like they're on a paid fucking team, to the best of my understanding. So when they brought her on, they had not looked at her Instagram, right? Because why would you? If someone is competent, then that's the way it goes. And so they brought her on through the recommendation of somewhere else. She was going to run their South Carolina chapter. Well, 2 weeks after she was hired into that role, 2 weeks after she was hired, they found this photo on her Instagram. 2 weeks later, that's 2 years after she took this photo. And they decided that they couldn't have a South Carolina chapter lead because this woman, who, by the way, I don't know if this is true, but I was told she's an atheist. I was told she's not even a Satanist. But by the way, there's a lot of Satanists in the world that don't do like child sacrifice. So even if she is, she's allowed to believe what she wants to believe. But someone told me she was an atheist. I don't know if that's true. So they were so afraid of having someone with this photo as a South Carolina chapter lead that they fired her because of a QAnon conspiracy. Like, that's crazy. I'm sorry. People are allowed to go to tourist destinations. If you are making decisions for your organization based on what the wackiest of nut jobs on the internet is going to think about it, that's crazy. That is not, you do not take organizations seriously when they make decisions about the organization based on what the farthest right nut jobs are going to think. Most normal people don't know what this is. They don't know what it is. I know, Brooklyn, you're telling me it's not Q, but I think it's Q, okay? Where did it come from then if it wasn't Q? Because this is like a John Podesta thing. And I feel like that's connected with Q. I cannot. I've never seen something like this happen in an organization before. You cannot do this, man. I understand that Jamiee is an influencer on the internet. I get it. However, you've got to get off the internet, man. You have got to come to a realization that some people just want to go to see a big effing mansion and they're allowed to do it. She took pictures all over the mansion. Like, would you work with no one who had ever been to that mansion? Because it seems to be a national destination for me. It looks beautiful. They've got like a vineyard. Like, I would go drink wine at that mansion. I don't care. And if I saw that pool, I would take a picture of it. And it's not because it's a QAnon conspiracy theory or a child sacrifice murder pool. I would take a picture because it's cool. I mean, come on. And if she did know, like, it's not even clear if she knew about the QAnon conspiracy theory. But if she did know, who cares? Did she believe it? Was she advocating for it? What if she knew about the conspiracy theory, but didn't even believe it, but thought it would be funny? Like, are we not allowed to be human beings 2 years before we get a new job? So that's just one of many things that has happened at Gays Against Groomers. Just many, many, many things. I don't know that they think she's part of Q, is the thing. I tend to doubt it. I don't know that she even knew what the conspiracy theory was. I had never heard of this conspiracy theory until, like, 2 years ago. Most normal people don't know this effing conspiracy theory. It is not something that is discussed in the real world. Listen, man, I want Gays Against Groomers to be successful. Whenever I have a feeling about an organization, I genuinely want to be wrong. I really, really do. I want to be wrong because it's not good for people. If an organization like that with that sort of mission, it's not good that that's going down the toilet. It's not good. I don't wish for them to fail, but it seems to me that the leadership of Gays Against Groomers, based on the fact that they are still reeing on my Twitter right now, I don't take them seriously as leaders. You cannot see the display that I saw on Twitter tonight and take these people seriously as leaders. This was not secret. This was not private. These people seriously don't understand that Twitter is public and they built their brand on effing Twitter. So many better ways they could have handled this. And you know what? This is the ironic part. I wasn't even going to talk about Mike Harlow or any of that bullshit in this article. Wasn't going to do it. I've already talked about it. You guys know what's up. And there's a lot more to talk about. But in her first tweet to me tonight, Jamiee mentioned Mike Harlow. Da-da-da-da-da. Let's go back. So Jamiee, so earlier today, I posted this big long thread on Twitter. And this was after I had talked to 2 whistleblowers, okay? This is what I heard after 2, and then after I posted it, everyone else that I talked to today had read it, and they universally came to me and said, "Carlin, you're right. This is what happened." So, I'm gonna read you the thread that I wrote about Gays Against Groomers today. And this, guys, by the way, doesn't give away everything that I have because I learned more after I wrote it. Here's what I know about Gays Against Groomers from whistleblowers and public infighting among members. There has been a hard right turn among the leadership at GAG. I cannot believe they embrace that acronym, but they've made worse choices, I suppose. There's been a hard right turn among the leadership at GAG to pander to the conservative right's talking points against trans people. Even though Trans Against Groomers is a subsidiary of Gays Against Groomers, the leadership, Jamiee, does not support them at all. Now, something about Trans Against Groomers that I didn't know when I wrote this. Trans Against Groomers no longer exists. It went defunct. So they basically got rid of it. And I think one of the reasons they got rid of it is that all the trans people left. All the ones that they could maybe like hoodwink into running it. So that Trans Against Groomers no longer exists. Breaking news. There have been many attempts by members within the group to make things better and solve the leadership problems, but they have all been ignored or even disparaged by Jamiee, who is more interested in going on Fox News and podcasts than she is in running the organization. I have seen several attempts. Because they took screenshots of all of it. I have screenshots of their private Telegram messages. I saw several attempts for people to reason with Jamiee, for people to just like try to have like a normal conversation, and it was just rebuffed. She didn't want to do it. And they told me that whenever they tried to get a hold of her to have a meeting, she always had some media appearance to do, which of course, nothing wrong with doing media. Like that's part of her job. Nothing wrong with doing it. But if you're going to run an organization, then run an organization and then do media. You know, you have to have priorities. This is what led to the code of conduct being developed that I posted about before. Not only did Gays Against Groomers not enforce their code of conduct when it was one of their ambassadors harassing me, they also didn't enforce it for members of their own organization. When the code of conduct has been enforced, it's been enforced selectively to remove members that wouldn't go along with the hard right turn the organization took to speak against trans people. So, one of the grievances, the major grievances against Gays Against Groomers, is that Jamiee did not want to include trans people, like at all. She was against it. She's LGB without the T. Now, when the organization started using language about trans people, like they're mutilating themselves, although everyone in the organization agrees that children under 18 should not transition, okay? Everyone's on board with that. However, there were trans adults working in the organization that didn't really like to be told that they had mutilated their body. And I think we can all agree with that. They tried to raise concerns about the language that Gays Against Groomers was using being too inflammatory, and they didn't like some of the implications of it insofar as them, because they liked who they they like who they are, they don't regret the change, and they didn't want to hear that they'd been mutilated. And I think that's, to be quite frank, a pretty reasonable effing stance. But because Jamiee was not always comfortable with trans people being involved in the organization, I don't think that she took the concerns seriously. And so they were kind of ignored. And this pissed a lot of people off. So you had a couple things. You had the South Carolina chapter head getting fired, the trans South Carolina chapter head getting fired for a picture from 2 years ago at a national tourist destination. All right? And then you've got Jamiee telling the public chats on Telegram, and I do have a screenshot of this. She's telling them that she was never happy with the idea of trans people being part of Gays Against Groomers. And she doubled down on it. Now, Jamie's allowed to have her opinion. But I think when you're telling that to trans people, some of them might have, well, an issue with that. So that caused some problems and it pissed people off. And it didn't just piss the trans people off, it also pissed off the people who were with Gays Against Groomers that were like, we don't care if people are trans. We don't want to pander to this hard right turn that the organization is taking. We don't want to say that no one should be trans. And listen, everyone's going to have different opinions about this. Okay? I'm not going to argue the point tonight. I just don't care enough. It's too late. But I think we can all agree that maybe an agree to disagree moment might have been more appropriate. It's like you cannot expect people who vehemently disagree with the idea of not acknowledging trans people as a critical component of beating back grooming. Because I think they're one of the most important components. I think adult trans people that speak up against gender ideology in school and against kids transitioning when they're under the age of 18, I think that's the most effective thing because they can say, Look, I waited, and I'm glad I waited because I was sure, and I had a lot of counseling, and I thought about it, and I made sure it was the right decision for me. Trans people should be saying that. It would really help young trans people to hear that. And yeah, I do believe there are trans people that are younger. Yes, I do. I'm sorry. So I'm kind of on their side on that one. I am. I think that trans people are a critical part of fighting against grooming. And I think if Gays Against Groomers doesn't want to do that, I think it's a waste. I think it's an absolute waste. I do. I continued. Let me see. Where did I go? Um, I think I said this. The text messages of the CEO disparaging trans people then got circulated among the group. This didn't help matters. The lack of internal support and public statements disparaging trans people in order to pander to conservatives. And what I mean by disparaging trans people is saying things like LGB without the T, trying to make them feel like they weren't even welcomed or weren't even included or stuff like that. And by the way, much worse things were said in the private chats than what I'm going to tell you. Much worse. So that didn't help matters. Now, next up. It seems as though the person running IT for Gays Against Groomers publicly threatened to hack members who were leaving for revenge. There was a public fight on Twitter about it that was later deleted, but I have the screenshots. So there is someone in Gays Against Groomers named Grady. Grady is friends with Mike Harlow. And Grady is, well, very aggressive on Twitter. Much more mean and cruel than I think is healthy, but it's not my life. He's allowed to make whatever decisions he wants. I find his tweets to be mean and cruel. And Grady, because he was pissed off at the people who were leaving because of all this bullshit, started a public Twitter fight just the other day. And again, I missed this. I didn't see any of this happening, and I'm really disappointed in myself for that because Grady went right from fighting with the ex members of Gays Against Groomers to calling me out and telling me to shut up. So Grady started a public Twitter fight with the members of Gays Against Groomers that left. And he said in one of the tweets that he was going to hack them. Now, do I really believe that he can do that? No, I don't. But apparently, there was an incident where Grady got a hold of someone's IP address and shared it with people, and that made people very nervous about what he could actually do. So it wasn't out of the realm of possibility, you know? So that was another thing that happened. A public Twitter fight that basically, like, here's the thing. They posted all this publicly on Twitter. They posted all of it publicly on Twitter before I even talked about this. And it was just a happy coincidence that it happened at the same time. And so I did my video last week. They saw it. They were like, holy shit. And they reached out to me. All right. There are other toxic members of the organization, including chapter leaders, who are posting belligerently on Twitter with former members because apparently they don't think public Twitter posts are public information. So, this I don't even need to prove anymore because, quite frankly, they've proven that they're acting belligerently. They've been acting belligerently all night. They've been tweeting belligerently while I'm just like chilling out on this stream at 3 a.m. talking with you guys. Now, let's be real. They're watching right now, obviously. Hi, guys. So they're tweeting belligerently right now, so that's not even in jest. There is about to be a mass exodus of members of Gays Against Groomers, 10 to 15. Many are starting up a separate organization that will be focused on activism and helping parents and the things Gays Against Groomers claim to be doing but hasn't done. They're using the hashtag #WhyWeLeftGag. There are already posts on it. So, Gays Against Groomers is not done bleeding yet. There are many more people leaving. Not pre-recorded. There are many more people leaving. And Jamiee doesn't know who, so she's been running around trying to figure it out because she wants to know who's leaving. Now, she said on Twitter tonight, she said that everyone I talked to was fired. Oh, no. No, 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 no. No, they're not. Sorry, Jamiee. No, they're not. See, she thinks she knows who I'm talking to, but she doesn't know everyone. She probably knows some of them. She absolutely knows some of them because they're posting publicly about it on Twitter. This is not a federal case, right? Anyway, let me read you Jamie's response. Oh, and I also had this tweet. Okay, so apparently, and I don't know exactly what day Jamiee tweeted this. Jamiee tweeted, I had no idea when I launched Gays Against Groomers. That meant I was going to be running a daycare. We have trimmed the fat lately with some unruly members that care more about their feelings than protecting children. Not everyone is cut out for this fight. So, what Jamiee does every time she's trying to guilt trip someone, I absolutely believe that Jamie's a narcissist, by the way. And part of the reason is I've heard it from enough people. What narcissists do when you're taking them out of control is they lose their minds. They lose it completely. And Jamiee has like lost it completely. I am sorry. You do not tweet about your organization like that. And one of the things that Jamiee does, which is also a narcissism thing, is she tries to manipulate people. She when I one of the things that she has said to me is, "You are taking down the organization that's fighting grooming." I'm like, "Bitch, a lot of people are fighting grooming. I'm sorry, and a lot of people are doing it a lot more effectively than you. Don't give me that. Do not gaslight me into believing that by discussing the shortcomings of your organization, which is a really big name in the right-leaning space. Do not attempt to fucking gaslight me to believing it is better to let you chug along and continue this bullshit than call it out and maybe give you a chance to fix it, Jamiee. Because my preference would be you just fix the fucking problems and you listen to people. You are not going to gaslight me into not talking about this when 7 of your current and former members have come to me in the last 24 hours. And whose fault was that, Jamiee? The request I made of you, which was to enforce your own code of conduct on your ambassadors, was rather easy and straightforward. Now, you didn't have to fulfill it, and you didn't. You refused to enforce your own code of conduct. Fine. You're allowed to do that. But, Jamiee, guess what? I am allowed to talk about that. That's the way it works, Jamiee. If you are not going to do the bare minimum for me, I'm not going to do the bare minimum for you. You are not entitled to my servitude in any way. So she can have whatever feelings she wants. Anyway, so Jamiee was obviously having feelings when she wrote this tweet, and the people who were leaving took a screenshot of it and they said, I wasn't going to say anything, but this is fucking ridiculous. This is what happens when a narcissist is held accountable, then given no attention. She gets thirsty for it. She forgets we have the screenshots of her admitting she is not down with the T in the LGBT, as well as her lies and everyone calling her on her shady business tactics. And last I checked, Justin Trudeau didn't have a sister named Jamiee, but I guess I was wrong. So that was another thing that I found today. And then Jamiee responded to this. And do you want to see big time founder, professional, nonprofit organization founder? Do you want to see what her response is? Let me get a drink of water. After I reached out privately to ask her questions, after I gave her the opportunity to make whatever statement she wanted, and I probably would have followed up with more questions. I was actually playing this straight. She might have not thought that, but that's part of the fun, is catching them off guard by playing it completely effing straight. You gotta do that sometimes. When people expect you to go extreme, when people expect you this is just like a mind games tactic. When people expect you to go to the most possible extreme, you have to do everything you can to stay as much on the straight and narrow as possible. Like, go on the up and up. Play it straight. And what happens when they think you're going to go to the extreme and you play it straight is they go to the extreme because they are anticipating that you are going to go to the extreme. They're responding to what they expect is going to happen in their head, but it may not be true. And if you just play it straight and play it on the straight and narrow, then they are going to look effing crazy. So I played it straight. I actually gave Jamiee a chance to respond, taunted her a little, sure, yeah, fine. But she could have responded privately. She chose to laugh privately, tell me I was doing a great job, and then take to Twitter to do this. Imagine thinking you know anything that goes behind the scenes because you talk to a group of people who were fired and are really salty about it. Not everyone I spoke to was fired, Jamiee. That's not accurate. Some of the people I spoke to are still there. They're not all unemployed by you yet, Jamiee, or unvolunteered, whatever the hell it is. So no, they're not all fired. No one besides the executive leadership knows what goes on behind the scenes of a large organization. That's not true, Jamiee. Which it, which of least of which insignificant members that were in the org only a few weeks. Jamiee, did you know that I didn't even talk to the South Carolina chapter head? I didn't talk to the South Carolina chapter head, Jamiee. I didn't talk to the woman you fired for taking a picture 2 years ago that was at a national tourist destination. Didn't even speak to her. She's not one of the ones I'm speaking to. Try again. Also, all those explosive screenshots you have are things I have said publicly for years. Well, how could you say them publicly for years, Jamiee, if your organization's only been around for 9 months? You think the only thing that I have on you is that one screenshot that I showed you? You think that's the only screenshot I have? Is the one that I showed you on Instagram to taunt you? Jamiee. Jamiee, you underestimate me if you think that that is the only screenshot I have, the one I sent you. Wow. Everyone knows you want to take down the biggest child protection organization in the country that has the best shot at ending all of this abuse because A, we didn't capitulate on your blackmail attempts of banishing Mike Harlow from our organization. Well, no, I was completely fine with it, Jamiee, but I am allowed to say to you, if you do not enforce your own code of conduct on your ambassador that is openly and publicly harassing me, then I'm going to talk about it. I'm sorry, Jamiee. You had a choice. I came to you privately. We had a very nice private discussion. I said, all I want him to do is stop. Just follow your code of conduct. That was my only ask. I didn't care if he stayed with Gays Against Groomers. I cared that he was openly violating your published code of conduct. If he had just shut the fuck up and left me alone, there would have been nothing else to talk about. I did not care if he was with the organization. He doesn't do anything for the organization anyway. So, no, that wasn't it. We had an agreement. You weren't going to tell him to stop per your organizational policy. And I said, well, then if you're not going to tell him to stop, Jamiee, if this is a problem that I have to deal with, then you have to deal with it too. If he is my problem, he is also your problem. And I don't think there's anything wrong with posting people's public statements. If you don't like it, I'm sorry, but you had a choice And all he needed to do to satisfy me was to stop talking about me. I just don't know why this is all that difficult. I really don't. I really, really don't. Because you guys obviously have no interest in being around me. So don't be. It makes no difference to me at all. But what you don't get to do is do this best of both worlds thing where you guys get to shit talk me, dox my friends, harass me openly for the same thing that you've been saying for what is it now, a year? I mean, do you think it really impacts me anymore? My college boyfriend went to jail for a crime he didn't commit that he pled guilty to because he was afraid of going to jail for the rest of his life. And there is nothing that you can do to make me apologize for that reality. And if you are so evil and you think that everyone is so devoid of any chance of redemption, you know what? I don't feel the need to placate you, Jamiee. I really don't. I really don't. You don't have to live with the outcomes of my choices to stay loyal to a friend, and I will never be ashamed of it. And you can try to smear me all you want, and your friends can try to smear me all you want, but I do not apologize. I don't owe you anything. I'm allowed to have whatever beliefs I want to have. And quite frankly, Jamiee, I'm not smearing you for your overtly obvious flaws. I'm writing an article based on what 7 members of your organization have told me in the last 24 hours. And if you didn't like that, then you damn well should have taken care of it. It is not my fault that you didn't. And you will not gaslight me into believing otherwise. B, because of your pedophile ex. My ex is not a pedophile. But nice smear campaign, Jamiee. Nice smear campaign. And because you think child rape is justified. Yes, she actually said that. She said, because you think child rape is justified. Do you know what this is based on? This is based on an essay that I posted on my spiritual website, which is disenrage.substack.com, about there being no good or bad, because sometimes we go through trauma early in life, and there is not a single person that has gone through an entire lifetime without trauma. Sometimes when we go through trauma earlier in life, it leads to us doing the thing that we are here to do. And not everyone might like to think about those ideas, and I understand that. It is a very specific spiritual perspective, but I do not believe that people who experience trauma in childhood have had their lives destroyed, and I don't think it's healthy to tell them that they have. I'm sorry. I don't think it's ever healthy for you to tell a child that they have had their life destroyed because of something that is outside of their control. I think that's cruel. I think that's child abuse. Is what happened to the child good? No. But what if that thing could lead to the child doing a lot of good in the world as an adult, which has happened more than once in this lifetime? If you don't want to have spiritual conversations about why things we perceive as negative happen to people, and again, there's not a single person in the world that's ever going to go through life without experiencing trauma. But if you don't want to talk about the spiritual roots of that and why that might happen, and the bigger questions in life and philosophy and just spirituality and points of view and perspective, then I feel sorry for you, Jamiee. I really do. But guess what? If you don't want to talk about those things, you don't have to read my website. I am allowed to have spiritual discussions. And if your first inclination is to smear me based on a perfectly common belief system that, by the way, Jamiee, Jordan Peterson has literally taught this. This is not something I made up. Jordan Peterson teaches this. I'm allowed to talk about that and I'm allowed to have that discussion. And if you don't like it, you don't have to participate in it. But I do not report to you, bitch. I don't report to you in regards to my spiritual beliefs. I don't care what you believe. I don't care how you worship. It makes no difference to me. But you trying to use someone's beliefs and a spiritual discussion against them in order to smear them, you think that's a good look? All right. Yikes. I wish you and Dollar Tree Gag the best of luck in the country. So they're calling the separate organization, which they are acknowledging is going on, they're calling it Dollar Store Gag. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think it is more effective to have one organization fighting grooming or two organizations fighting grooming? Do you think the world would be a better place if we just had one organization fighting grooming? Or if maybe there was more than one organization fighting grooming? Wouldn't it be really great if there was more than one organization fighting grooming? Throw me an answer in the chat. Why would Jamiee be upset at another organization being established to fight grooming by people who she apparently thought had really good experience when she put them in the position to gaze against groomers? She apparently was impressed by something when she put them in that position, so one must suspect that those people probably have some experience. So you're telling me you want a group of people who have experience in this area who don't want to work for you, Jamiee, because they don't like the leader that you are. You don't want those people to go off and start another organization and fight grooming in a different way than you would? Wouldn't that be a net positive, Jamiee? Wouldn't it be a good thing if another organization that maybe took a different approach because they have different values? Wouldn't that be a positive thing for fighting against grooming? If solving grooming is really what you're interested in? I think that would be pretty great, actually. Why does all the work need to be done by one organization? Why do you, Jamiee, need to be the one doing all the work so much so that you call another organization that will be fighting grooming Dollar Store or Dollar Tree Gag? Why would you diminish any effort to fight grooming if solving grooming was really what you cared about? And if you really had a group of people that hated you so badly that they didn't want to work for you anymore, but maybe you say, you know what? This didn't work out. Fine. But we both have the same goal. Why don't we figure out some ways we can help each other? And then when we have different ideas, we can do our own thing too. To me, that sort of alignment makes sense if what you care about is solving grooming. That would give you enough space to do your own things. And when it makes sense, you know what? Work together. Stranger things have happened. That's what adults do. What adults don't do is spend all night screaming and crying on Twitter because someone's telling the truth about what your members told me. I'm sorry, Jamiee, but this was a fixable problem. Several months ago, when you and I first talked, this was a fixable problem. I wanted it to be fixed. I wanted it to be done so that I didn't have to deal with the bullshit anymore. You could have made different choices, girl. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I told the truth about what happened, which I told you I was going to do. I'm sorry I told the truth. I'm sorry that hurt your feelings. I'm sorry I did it on video where your former members found it. And I'm sorry that you fired people for ridiculous things, for trying to make the organization better, for trying to give you any sort of feedback for what you could do better as a leader. I'm sorry you did all these things, bro. Well, I don't want to misgender. But you could have made different decisions every step of the way, Jamiee. I don't want. She's still fucking tweeting at me? Is she live tweeting this bot? Tell me she's live tweeting it. Oh god. Tell me she's live tweeting it. Tell me she's doing it, please. Oh, she's going into the archives, huh? We're doing the Hitler thing tonight. She's going into the archives of Hitler didn't go to hell because there is no hell. So how can anyone go there? No, 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 no. Jamiee would love this way too much. Because what Jamie's trying to do right now, this is what narcissists do. Pay attention. I learned this from HG Tutor, okay? Pay attention. What narcissists do when they're taken out of control is they try to do everything in their power to regain control. And in order to do that, they will smear you, they will destroy your stuff, they will have a temper tantrum, they will do whatever they need to do to get the attention that they require so that they can like fury you back into control. Or at least punish you, I suppose. But the thing of it is, they can say whatever they want. There is no one that watches me regularly that has not heard me talk about these things. So I have nothing to talk with Jamiee about. She can keep smearing me all she likes. I have nothing to talk with her about. And I don't want to give her the control of inviting her into our chill space. I feel like this is pretty good right now. There is a hell. Watch Sweet November. No, I don't want to watch Sweet November, Murphy's Pool. All right, so the last thing that she said, it's truly unfortunate and sad to see people that claim to care about protecting children spend all day trying to destroy a group that actually is. Yes, Jamiee is the only person in the world that is doing what they can to protect children. Sure, Jamiee. All right. It is such a pity play. It is such like a manipulation. She's trying to gaslight me. She does this all the time. And by the way, her own members don't even know what Gays Against Groomers does. They make school board speeches, sure. They stage viral videos, sure. But what else do they really do? Their own members don't even know. So Jamiee can have all the feelings she wants, man. I'm living for it. I think this is hilarious, and I'm gonna do such a good job of getting screenshots of all of the quotes, and I'm working them into the article. I've got a vision for how this article is gonna go in my head. I mean, oh, these people think that they can just regurgitate the same smears and the same smears and the same smears. You've been doing it for over 2 effing years. Do you guys really think that you're continuing to convince people? Do you guys really think that anyone is listening anymore because you're acting like a bunch of lunatics? And I've been uber productive and on point lately. And people can look at what we're putting out there and they can judge for themselves who is doing what. My only job is to do what I'm doing with the school stuff and with Actively Unwoke and with explaining this stuff to people. I don't care what you think about it. I really don't. My bills are paid. My audience is secure. Like, I'm not worried because my audience knows what I'm doing. My audience is involved with what I'm doing. A lot of my audience volunteers with me to do what I'm doing. They help out. They support it. And they don't support what you're doing because you're acting like goddamn crazy people. All you had to do, Jamiee, was listen to your people. People that, by the way, you weren't even really paying. It's absolute entitlement to think otherwise. It's absolute entitlement to run an organization where you truly don't believe that you have to listen to your people. That's all you had to do, girl. I offered to help you guys, and you know that's true. I offered through Judith to help you guys. And I knew you wouldn't say yes, and that's fine. You don't have to. But you should have listened because you guys see clips taken out of context of me yelling, and you think that that's all that I do because you don't watch anything else. You don't engage with anything else. And you know what? You don't have to. I would be perfectly fine if you left me the F alone. But you didn't want to do that. I asked you to do that. You have the organizational policy that tells you to do that. You made that choice. All you had to do was do the right thing, Jamiee. That was it. I'm not asking too much. So you can have whatever feelings you have about this article. I asked you for a comment. You didn't give one to me. You did laugh emoji, laugh emoji, laugh emoji. You can make fun all you like. You might say, oh, no one's ever going to read it. Well, maybe. Maybe. Maybe all that is true. Maybe only 3 people in the world will read it, Jamiee. But guess what? I'm still writing it anyway. Because it doesn't matter to me how many people read it. What matters is that I'm creating something of value for people. And I happen to believe that when you create things of value, people will like them. And they do. And I'm very lucky to have enough people to support my work. I don't need your audience. I don't need your help. I don't need your fucking permission. You might want to be the biggest organization in the world, and that's fine. And if you someday got your shit together and you figured out how to create the most amazing, impactful organization against grooming in the history of fucking organizations, I would say that's awesome because I actually care about stopping this shit. Why do you view it as a competition? Why do you believe that you need to rip other people down? Why do you believe that another organization that's fighting grooming is a bad fucking thing? I don't view anyone in this space as competition, Jamiee. If someone wants to work with me, I'll with them and I don't have to be their goddamn BFF because that's what adults do. And I'm very lucky to have people that I love working with me. And that's just the way it goes. And they don't need your permission either. Every person who wants to be in this space has more than enough work to do. There's more than enough for all of us. The fucking bickering and the backstabbing and the crazy goddamn lunacy and the smear campaigns. It's so ridiculous. You assholes really don't want to win at all. I respond to things when they're done to me. I don't initiate this bullshit. And if anyone came to me and said, you know what? Mea culpa, pass the past, let's move forward, let's do something. I'd be like, all right, let's talk about it and see what's what. I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't throw a hissy fit. I wouldn't have a 3-hour long temper tantrum at 3 a.m. I would have said, yeah, because we're on the same fucking team and we should be working on the same fucking goals. Even if we do it in different ways. And all the better if we do it in different ways, because if we do it in different ways, you get more fucking done. But no, you don't want to do that because you want to see yourself in competition with everyone. You want to see yourself in competition with people who are on your goddamn team. Why? So you can be number one? Huh. That kind of sounds like a narcissist, doesn't it? You have to shit on everyone else in the space that's working towards the same goals as you are because you have to be number one? What prize do you get for being number one in the anti-woke space, Jamiee? Do you get a trophy? How big is it? Is it worth shitting on everyone else? You guys were infighting live on Twitter before I even got involved. You cannot blame your own internal dissension on me. You were fighting on Twitter before I even got involved. You need to look in the mirror and realize who is responsible for this situation, and it is you. If you had had a happy team and a happy organization, Jamiee, they wouldn't have come running to me. No one comes running to the organizational psychologist when they are in a happy organization. So if you want to give me a real comment, then feel free to give me a real comment. Because right now, I'm going based on your tweets. And I don't think that this is going to work out in the way that you believe it is. I will use your tweets as comment on the article. You've already commented on pretty much every aspect of it. I don't even have any other questions. You've answered them all and I haven't even God, the notification's been going up the whole time. I haven't even looked at them. I got who fired? I didn't get anyone fired. If she fired someone, that was her choice. Oh, I got Sasha fired? Really? I don't know. I'm not looking at the tweets, so I have no idea what's going on. And again, Jamiee, if you're firing people at 3 a.m., you're firing people. I mean, if this is really happening, if I'm understanding what is going on in my chat right now, and they could conceivably be lying, but I need like confirmation, please. If you fired people on Twitter at 3 a.m. on Twitter and you announced it on Twitter, Jamiee, we need to have a talk, Jamiee. This is not normal. I'm sorry. This is really not normal. This is really not normal behavior. You're firing people on Twitter at 3 a.m., Jamiee. Jamiee, this didn't have to be this big of a deal. Hang on, I need more water. One sec. Oh god, this is so great. This is so gonna be worth getting up after 3 hours of sleep. This is gonna be great. 4 a.m. stream. Who would have thunk it? You fired someone on Twitter at 3 a.m.? Okay, in the chat, is that crazy? Am I crazy? Or is that just like, has anyone ever heard of a major, impactful, like the biggest organization in the anti-woke space, the most effective organization in the anti-woke space, the greatest and just perfectly run most perfectly run organization in the anti-woke space? They fired someone at 3 a.m. on Twitter? Did this actually happen? Hang on, I'm not sharing my screen, am I? No. Hang on. Oh shit. Oh god, you guys sent me screen. She did. She did. She fired someone on Twitter and is blaming it on me. Wow. She fired someone on Twitter and is blaming it on me. Hang on. Look at this. Carlin, you said that whistleblowers can come to you and remain anonymous, but you posted a screenshot of Sasha's conversation with Jenny, which you have since deleted above, which led to her getting fired tonight. That's sad. Well, that is sad, Jamiee. But guess what? And that was my mistake. I left the timestamp on it. I shouldn't have. I didn't think of it. That was my mistake. But Jamiee, I'm not the one who made the decision to fire an employee or a team member. I mean, is this a volunteer? I'm not the one who made the decision to fire them at 3 a.m. over a Twitter fight. And I'm going to bet, this is just a hunch, I am going to bet that if they were leaking information, if you got the right person, and I don't even know that you did get the right person. I don't know if I believe that, Jamiee. You've already lied a lot today. So maybe you fired the wrong person. Who knows? But that wasn't my choice. You made that choice. And if you cannot understand why firing someone at 3 a.m. is not a good look, Jamiee, I just don't know what to tell you. But she was probably leaving anyway. And if she needs help, if it was a paying job that you fired her from and not just a volunteer position, if she needs help, then I will help her find something else. That's what I do, Jamiee. I promise you it won't be hard. There are other organizations that are not yours. And guess what? If you're going to target her to fire her for that at 3 a.m. on Twitter, then it is in her long-term best interest to get away anyway. Never fucking work for someone that would treat you like that. Who are you, nuts? Yeah, Brucey, another narcissistic trait. Look what you made me do. You made me do it. No, I didn't, Jamiee. I didn't make you do anything. But how interesting. Firing someone over social media should organizationally invalid in any company. I mean, it would be, but oh man. Man, oh man. That was a mistake I learned from though. I had not run into that one before. Won't make it again. Jamiee, John Morgan is like 19. And or did you just turn 20? I think you might have just turned 20. Still young. And he knows it's very unprofessional, Jamiee, to fire someone on Twitter at 3 a.m. Didn't have to be this way. I don't understand why this even needs to happen. I really don't. Oh, I'm sorry. I shortchanged John Morgan. He's 21. Still young and wise beyond his years. Jamiee, I've been smeared on the internet for 2 years, and it sucks because even when it's smear pieces and you know it's not true, a lot of people think it's true, and then they're usually dumb people, so you don't really mind it that much, but they're usually quite dumb, and even though, like, I know their lies, it's like, man, I really hate that people think it's true, but those who know me know it's not. The reason that I say this is that I was gonna write a really fair piece about you, man. And I still will write a fair piece. The problem is that you've given me so much more material to work with now, Jamiee. The piece will be completely fair. I will not misquote you. I will not misquote anyone. It will be completely fair and completely accurate and completely backed up with receipts. But the reason that I tell you that it's not, like you get used to being smeared even though it kind of sucks is that the article that I was going to write for you wouldn't have actually been that bad had you just taken it as constructive feedback. That's the real bitch of the whole thing, Jamiee. If you had just taken it and it was going to actually be written very gently, if you had just taken it as constructive feedback to say, you know what, maybe let's have a meeting and talk about how we can do things a little bit better because this just doesn't make sense. It would have actually turned out really well for you and you could have positioned it much better to say, you know what, yeah, mea culpa. Like we have some stuff up, but we're still growing as an organization. And we've taken the article seriously and we've, talked to the team about it and we've asked the former members for their feedback. And you know what? We're like, I'm taking this seriously and I just want to see if we can be better. I'm sure we can be. We're a fast growing organization. We're new. I haven't done everything perfectly. Guess what, Jamiee? It doesn't actually hurt. It doesn't, I promise you, it doesn't stab you in the heart when you admit that you're just not perfect, you make mistakes, you know? You could have played it so well, girl. You really could have. I was lobbing you the softball underhanded, but you can't see that. You chose to go on an hours-long Twitter tirade and fire someone at 3 AM. I'm sorry you're under pressure, Jamiee. I'm sorry you're under stress. I really am. I mean, it's obvious to me, but girl, if you're gonna lead the biggest and best anti-grooming organization in the world, you need to chill out. You need to learn to meditate. You need to get it under control because the firing people at 3 AM on Twitter and blaming it on someone else that was quite literally live streaming on the internet when it was happening. You think bragging about the fact that you're firing someone on Twitter at 3 AM is a good look for the biggest and best anti-grooming organization in the history of the world? Okay. We all make choices. I hope it works out for you. But I'm gonna go take some screenshots now. I would love to stay up and keep talking. I really would because I'm so amused by this. This is like one of the greatest things that has like ever happened. Jamiee, I'm gonna be completely fair to you in this article. But don't be upset if I quote you exactly based on your public statements tonight because Twitter is public. It's public. And you have just proven every single thing that your team members said about you. You've proven them correct, Jamiee. Man. John Morgan is trying to take care of me. He's like, Carlin, you should probably go to bed. It's like 4 in New Hampshire. It is like 4 in New Hampshire, John. All right. Well, I probably should wrap it up and go to bed so I can get up early so I can do it all again and write some more. And Jim, you don't have to worry. I'm probably not going to get the article done tomorrow because I got a lot of stuff to do tomorrow. But, you know, sometime this week, if you want to leave me any more quotes or any of those things, you feel free to post them on Twitter, message me, whatever. All right, guys, have a good night. See you soon.